Fast, free delivery from the Home Depot makes your projects hassle-free. Forget something you need? Visit HomeDepot.com or the Home Depot app for free delivery on millions of products, including same-day and next-day options. Get delivery at the speed you need, only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order select in-stock items by 4 p.m., subject to availability. Hey everybody, the boys are back here on the Falcons Audible, presented by AT&T. That's DJ Shockley. By the way, fresh off of a interview with Caden Ellis. This is Dave Archer, and I'm Derek Rackley here. We are back in the studio, and we have, the viewers can't see this, we have a monitor in front of us. We have been told that we are the big boys in town, so we get a return monitor, which basically just means we can see what you guys see.
Let's go, baby.
So we can kind of correct some things, or maybe if Arch has his lanyard on, which he normally does sometimes.
Unbelievable, he ain't got it on today.
Take it off.
Crazy.
But
Crazy.
so Arch came prepared.
Old school for Mr. TV over here.
So we are back for our second one together as all three of us. Your guys is third now, as we are well into training camp for the Atlanta Falcons in the 2025 season. And we actually had a game played last week, fellas. So the first question is, did you watch and did you care? The Hall of Fame game was last night, Chargers and Lions.
Did you
last
see a
week.
snap? I didn't see a snap of it.
I ain't gonna lie, I watched a little bit of it because obviously I do stuff with my dog, so I went back and watched some of it and watched, Dan Jackson was playing for the Lions and
He got banged up in the game, didn't he? Get banged up?
Yeah, so it was a couple of Bulldogs. I was just looking forward to see how they were going to play. And just to see them on the next level, it was pretty cool to see that. But other than that, I was like, what else can we watch? But, not much. How about you?
What was your last year at Georgia?
Last year at Georgia was 2005.
That's pretty special. 2005. He's 20 years after and still personally invested in how them dogs are doing.
It's different because I get to know these kids now on a different level. Obviously, when I'm down there with them always on the sideline all the time. It's like Arch. I mean, he sees these dudes all the time, so he is invested with the Falcons as much as what I'm saying. All us are too.
So, are you saying you've given up on the Golden Gophers?
That's what it sounds like. Arch did. That's what it sounds like.
I'm still watching Iowa State, and I'm a lot further removed than these guys.
You don't watch Minnesota
okay?
anymore.
Stop it, because I'm very far removed.
Good call, Arch.
I don't go to any practices or games because I'm busy on Saturdays. And the turnover.
You're not getting the Golden Gopher newsletter? Where's the Golden Gopher newsletter?
No, I don't get a football one. I get one from the school. They're trying to get some money out of me, but I don't get anything from the football program.
So you don't check on Saturdays, go through and check the scores, see what you go.
The scores, and see how they're doing. And trust me, I pull for them when they get drafted.
So Gophers, he cares about you guys minimally. That's what he says.
You got Rocco Beck up there slinging it for Iowa State. We're in the Big 12 title game last year. Come on.
Me and Art, we still invested.
You got the eye roll. I don't know if you felt it, but I gave it to you. I gave it to them, and hopefully you saw it off to the side. So you guys, DJ, you watched a little. You didn't catch much of it. That's kind of the phase that we're in right now. I'm going to ask you guys this question. Like, how important are preseason games, Arch? And I'll ask that question to you because there's a lot of depends on who you are, what stage you are in the league. Are you coming in as a rookie? Are you coming in as a proven guy? But how important are the preseason games in this day and age? Because things have changed from 20, 30, 40 years ago.
I almost feel like, guys, that they're individually important.
Yeah.
This is such an ultimate team game, yet the guys that are going to be playing on Sunday against Tampa are not going to play in this game and might not play throughout the preseason. So what is the importance of it? Well, the importance is that there's only so many reps in practice, right? And so you're trying to rep your ones, your twos, maybe some of your threes. And so there's some guys that are getting maybe 1 rep of practice, 3 reps of practice. That doesn't add up to very much. Right. Over 10 days, I've gotten 15 reps, something like that. So, So they're very important for those guys. Not only are they important for you to see them develop for you, but you're also giving them an opportunity to put, as we've talked about before, put tape out there for other guys, other teams to see. 16-man practice squads. So who do I want to keep to develop as an Atlanta Falcon? And then obviously everybody else gets to look too. So I think from an importance standpoint, that's important. And you may scoff at this. You guys won't, but the fan may scoff at this. There is a procedural thing that you need to get taken care of for games. Who goes out first, where you're supposed to be. It's a stupid thing to say. How do we line up for stretching and all this kind of stuff? Because out here at Flowery Branch, they're spread out over 3 fields, right? There, you got half a field because the other team gets it. So there is some procedural things that you have to kind of get squared away and get locked into. So those are some of the things I think for preseason.
You
forget about that.
You know, DJ, we're in this kind of era now where you don't really see a whole lot of starters playing preseason games. And before I turn this over to you to get your viewpoint, I thought about, and I went back and I researched 2 teams from last year. The 2 teams that played in the Super Bowl, okay? And if my research is correct, the Philadelphia Eagles did not play any of their starters in the preseason. I think it turned out okay for them. Whereas Andy Reid is a little bit old school, and he likes to play his guys, right? He likes to give them a little bit of live bullet action. And anybody could say, well, yeah, there's a potential that they could get hurt. There's a potential they could get hurt in week 1 or week 6 or week 9, right? However, I think this has come down to a very individualized decision, most notably for the head coach. But Raheem Morris has said that most of the starters are not going to play for the Falcons. But should starters play in the preseason, or is it truly an individual's decision?
Is this from the coach's perspective, or is this from the fans' perspective?
True.
The fans' perspective is, I want to see the dudes out there playing, and I can understand that. But I think from the coach's perspective, it depends on what kind of guy you have. And you mentioned Andy Reid is a guy who's old school, who's been there, they've done it, and it's worked for them. And we saw last year DeMarco Hellams go down in the preseason, a guy who was absolutely could have been a starter, may contribute. We saw Braylon Trice go down, a guy who we obviously was going to be a contributor. They drafted him, wanted to be one of those guys. And I think that immediately, said, hold on, for Raheem Morris. Like, these are 2 guys that we were going to depend on going into the season. And maybe if they didn't play, we had them going towards a year. So I think for myself, I don't mind it that they don't play. I think you have a bunch of guys who understand what it takes to get ready for a ball game. You got a bunch of guys who understand the speed of the game. And I think fans always argue if a team starts slow that it's because they didn't play in the preseason, they didn't get a real feel of the game. And I remember a few years back, I can't remember who it was. We was playing somebody, and they played their starters, and we didn't. And they just went right up and down the field. And I don't know how much maybe they got from that, because those are not going to be the same guys you go against when it comes week 1, week 2, week 3. So maybe it's a timing thing for them. But for me, I don't mind it, because you got a bunch of guys who are going to do it in practice. And Arch just talked about the reps. Now, this is flip. When you're in practice, you're in training camp, these 1s, these 2s, they're getting a lot of reps in practice. And then the other part I think that's also has changed is you're doing a lot of these joint practices as well. And what people don't see is what happens in those practices where they go and they're competing, they're going at it, and it feels game speed, because you see another jersey over there, you see another guy with a different helmet. It's hard to go 85, 90%. You're going full speed because you want to win that particular rep, you want to win that particular drill. So I think there's some things that have been put in place to help coaches make a better decision on if our guys should play. There are sometimes you look up and you say, you know what? I feel like our guys may need some game action. They may need some reps. I didn't see what I wanted to see in practice. These guys need to go out and play. They need to, build this continuity and bond. But you had a quarterback who played last year, last 3 ball games, with all those guys that have – you got an offensive line that's played a bunch of football for you. You got receivers, backs who played a bunch of ball. I think in totality you have a group that you feel good about with how they practice. So when week 1 comes, they're ready to go.
The data is leaning that direction too, guys, and we're not very far away from probably seeing the preseason games go away.
Totally, yeah.
But the data leans towards when you put guys in preseason games and you compare that to injuries in practice, injuries in the preseason games, is almost 3 or 4 times more likely for a guy to get injured in a preseason game, because as we know, in practice – things are controlled to where you don't drag guys to the ground. True. You're not tackling guys to the ground, which is number 1 when it comes to injuries. And then there's a blocking, a thud, we call it thud tempo, where you come off, you engage, you drive for 2 or 3 steps, and then you release. That takes some of the stress off those guys too. So, but what we've been watching in practice is an adjustment for the Atlanta Falcons is they've done away with some of the ancillary drills, and they're going to more team reps. Jock and I watch this. Instead of having a script that's got 22 or 23 team reps, they're getting as many as 45 team reps in practice, as opposed to doing 7-on-7, where if I'm a DB and we're in 7-on-7, which is DBs and linebackers versus running backs, tight ends, and the quarterback, and they're not running the football, so I'm bailing in coverage. I'm playing coverage. Or if you get in 9-on-7, which is, you guys know, is a run drill.
Inside drill.
If I'm a safety in the run drill, I know they're not going to play action and throw behind me. There's nobody to throw the ball to.
Yeah.
So it's almost you're wasting your time. You can incorporate all that 7-on-7 and 9-on-7 run and pass drills into the team concept.
Yeah.
And now I'm having to guess defensively a little bit. Is it screen coming? Is it run game? Is it play action? And so you're getting those team reps, quote unquote team reps, in practice, and that's why coaches are valuing the practice time with their 1s and 2s far more than they used to.
When I was doing the research on the Eagles, I read a quote from Nick Sirianni, who said that he felt like they could get more out of inter-squad scrimmages and practices against other teams in training camp than they could in the preseason games. Well, what's coming up for the Atlanta Falcons? Inter-squad practice this week, and then they got a scrimmage next week, or doing against the Titans coming into town to practice here. So kind of the same model, okay? So let's talk about the game this week, though. Falcons playing Detroit. What do you expect to see in that game, DJ? What can fans expect to see if they come down and they watch that game or they turn it on the television?
I think it's only right. You're going to see some sloppiness. You're going to see some guys, competing hard, but you're going to see some of the penalties that you don't want to see when you got veterans out there. You got guys who've been around, who played. But I expect to see a bunch of guys competing hard. I expect to see a bunch of guys going out there trying to win a job, trying to show the coaches that, I can take it from the practice field to the actual game field where I don't have a coach behind me, or I don't have the big board out there where I can see the replay again and go back and talk about it. You're going to see guys, I think, try to take that next step in this process. And the next step is, all right, we've had a couple weeks of training camp. Now you got to face somebody else, and you don't know what's going to happen on this particular down. You get in practice and say, all right, this is a rundown, or this is 3rd and short. Now you got a lot of different situations that you have to think through and communicate. Now you're going to see who can do that with live bullets flying, who can do that at fast pace, who can do that when it really matters, and who's going to show up, who's going to make a mistake. But then, okay, next series, that mistake comes up again. You kind of you do a better job of overcoming that. So I think they want to see the guys who can actually take it from the practice field to the game and say, you know what, this guy shows me what he's like. And there's a lot of guys who are really good practice players, and sometimes they're dudes that are just gamers.
Yeah.
And I think we will see some of that. We've seen guys in practice who they look pretty average out there, but then they turn it on when the lights come on. So which guy are you when you get on this field and play versus a real game?
Shock, we had a discussion earlier about DeMarco Hellams, and I think that's a prime example, is that he was a guy that came out in the preseason and he started to jump off the field. Yeah. Like all of a sudden he continued to make plays. Arch, that's what they're looking for, is when they go into preseason games, it's like maybe there was a guy that was doing pretty good in training camp, but then to your point, Shock, he gets out on the field and he just starts making plays, because at the end of the day, it's right. Not when coach is over the shoulder or come and giving you adjustment after every play. It's who can go out there for 3, 6, 9 plays straight and then just all of a sudden continue to show up play after play.
Yeah, or exactly, Rack, or a guy comes to the sideline. I think you were referring to this, Shock. Guy comes to the sideline after a series, and you say, okay, let's do this. You make an adjustment on the sideline. I want you to play it this way. Or this is what you didn't see. Let's go back. And then you see him take that immediate information back to the football field, and he transferred that next series. He's a better player the next series. So all of what you're saying is guys stepping up and being given that opportunity. But again, there's a bunch of guys that they're going to rep in this game that aren't getting a ton of reps out there. So the coaches are wanting to see it too. Is there something there that we haven't had a chance to see yet because they're just not getting enough reps?
The other thing I want to see is who's going to make the routine plays. And we talked about trying to do something outside of yourself, but how about just making the routine block, making a routine catch, getting up to the second level? Oh, I got to go and, I got this guy man-to-man. I'm supposed to play outside leverage. Who's going to do that? I think they want to see some of the minute things as well, as opposed to, all right, let's do extra. Let's try to make these old wild plays. but also who can do the small things that are going to win games for you? Who can do the little things that say, you know what, this guy is coachable, this guy's disciplined, he's not making the dumb mistakes, but he's doing what is asked of him, and can you play to that level?
Gentlemen, as the resident special teamer here on our trio here, well, I got two quarterbacks played on offense. No offense, but not really had to make your money on special teams. That's what's important really about preseason games as well, is who can the coaches count on to be on kickoff coverage, kickoff return, punt return. All that third phase of the game is where they're looking to see, this guy's been pretty good playing defense or offense in practice, but like we can win with him on teams.
Rack, hold on. Let me take up for the QBs here for one moment. Me and Arch were just in practice down there watching, and we're talking, we're looking. And then Art says, you know what, those two guys right there, that's where it's going to matter. And they're doing a punt drill. Those two guys, that's where you got to win it. This guy right here, talking about a receiver, says, you know what, this guy is doing this, doing that, but he's got to make his money over here. So us QBs, we still look at that third phase too now. We're not totally dismissing it. You know what I'm saying? We know it matters.
If you were going to come out here and tell me that you ran down on kickoff coverage in the preseason, I was going to call you out something.
The last kickoff he covered, he was in fourth grade.
Yeah. I ain't going that far at all.
All right, let's take a slight step back from the field here, fellas, because last week there was a big call out there for a lot of people in the broadcasting community, getting everybody up to speed on some of the rule adjustments, as there are every single year in the National Football League. And we're going to kind of summarize them a little bit here, but some of the main changes this year have been on special teams, on the dynamic kickoff. They made a couple of adjustments there, into overtime, and also into replay assist. They're kind of expanding a little bit of the capabilities of replay assist to be able to chime in on some more objective plays this year. Arch, I think you listened to the majority of the call or were on it. What's some of the rule adjustments this year that kind of stuck out to you that you think are going to be different?
Well, the thing that's going to be really different for the fan will be how they measure for first downs.
Yeah.
Okay, so now there's going to be 6 cameras that are fixed in the stands that have – there's no chip in the football, by the way. Anybody thinks there's going to be a chip in the football?
Bro, they got chips in the ball, bro.
What they're going to use these 6 cameras to do is triangulate. Big word. Shock told me what it meant. I didn't know what it meant prior. But they're going to triangulate the football.
Google that.
And,
Google that.
And those cameras are going to give you the exact dimensions of that 10 yards that you need to get. Now, you'll still see the chains on the field. That'll be a visual for both the fan and the player. So if I'm out of the backfield and where's the first down marker? Obviously, there's not going to be a red line like we see on TV, or the camera
telling me that's not real.
My helmet, and I got a little picture in my space mask.
We ain't going meta out of our shields here or anything.
So that gives me a visual as where I need to get to. But when they say, okay, there's a timeout for a measurement, you're literally going to see, if you've ever watched any tennis before.
Yep.
It's going to be very similar. Is it in or out? And you see this animated ball hitting the – that's what you're going to see. You're going to see an animated picture. They're going to show you the field, the ball, and then they're going to the camera's going to rotate down and literally show where the ball is, or is it short or is it long? And then that's the way they're going to do it. So it's going to be really weird and different there. They're also using cameras where they're going to look at the inlines. The goal lines are going to have cameras fixed in all the stadiums for those shots. How many times have we said, well, they don't really have a camera angle for that.
Right.
They're trying to fix that. TV's trying to fix that. So to try to help you, fans and all of us that argue, well, yeah, I think he's over. Well, then you're trying to pair 2 different camera angles up. You and I have had to talk about on TV, stuff like that with games we've done. So that stuff's going to go away. Now, as far as the rules go, are you going to be able to tell us about the kickoff rules, or are we going to let Shock or let Rack do it?
We're going to let Rack do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to let Rack do that.
There have just been a couple of small changes that have happened with, like, if you kick the ball into the end zone and the ball is caught in the end zone.
35-yard line, let's go.
It's up to the 35 now, right? It was the 30.
And why would they do that, Rack? They're trying to encourage
to bring it out. Return.
Yeah, because nobody wants you to put the ball. Because what are the numbers, Rack? there's exponential numbers as if you get the ball at the 25 or the 30, 35-yard line, your chances to score go way up.
You've essentially given them a first down and a half maybe from old school. Remember back in the day when everything used to come out of 20, right? So now it's like it's going to penalize the teams that just blasted into the end zone to get the fair catch. Well, now the other team's going to start at the 35-yard line, so we're going to try to promote some more returns, right? Most of the dynamic kickoff rules are going to stay the same. However, they did adjust the onside rule this year.
Anytime.
That you can do it anytime as long as you're trailing in the game and you let it be known that it's going to happen. So that's one adjustment that's also going to happen. And overtime has been adjusted to reflect what the playoff rule was last year, that now both teams are going to get an opportunity to possess the ball no matter what happens in overtime. So if the first team scores a touchdown, second team will have the ability to score a touchdown. So those are some of the adjustments. And to your point, the measuring, they say, is going to improve the pace of the game a little bit, right? Supposedly.
We'll see. As soon as it goes out in the stadium, what are they going to do?
One I enjoyed, too, that they talked about was the infamous hip drop tackle. Obviously, there was a lot of conversation about sometimes grabbing maybe the nameplate as opposed to, getting all the way inside a guy's jersey or shoulder pads and grabbing his hair, what it may be. Now they say you can go back and look at it and see, did he actually grab the inside or just grab his nameplate? Yeah. And now you can be one of those things, all right, you can overturn that. We saw it, and it's pretty good.
That's a little bit of the replay assist you were talking about. Now, they can't throw a flag on replay assist, but what they can do is pick a flag up. So that's what replay assist is. All it is a shot down to the head official, say, hey, you guys can pick that up. That was not like a boundary shot, a guy going out of bounds. That was something they expanded it to too, as well as the hip drop. Or the horse collar tackle is if a guy gets hit out of bounds and they throw a flag for a personal foul, hey, you get out of bounds, they go back and look at it real quickly, replay assist without slowing the game down, and they say, hey, pick that flag up because he was still in bounds when he hit him. Yep. Those are some of the adjustments there. I had a chance to talk to Bradley Pinion about the kickoff, and Bradley's been one of the best in the league prior to the new dynamic kickoff coming in last year of pounding it out of the end zone. And that was a big deal because now all of a sudden I got to go 80 yards. And talking about those percentages, you mentioned a first down and a half.
Yeah.
The percentages go way down if you got to start at your 20 to go score, especially go score a touchdown. Now if it comes out to the 35, so he said that's been a big adjustment for him. He said he
trying to put
struggled.
In that landing zone.
Yeah, he struggled with it some last year. He says he's really worked on it in the offseason.
Yeah.
That's something you don't even think about. A guy, spending time by himself trying to kick the ball down to the 5-yard line instead of kicking it. But he said he's really worked on it and feels like he's in pretty good shape to put that ball in that landing zone and make him return it.
Yeah, so that's kind of the interesting part about it is how much have the kickers worked on it to be more precise with it, right? Because if the ball is either caught or hits in the landing zone, goes into the end zone, it has to be fielded and downed or it has to be returned.
Yeah.
So this is where I think that the NFL is trying to get more of the returns back into the game, trying to get a little bit more of the excitement of the kicking game, but also keeping it safe in the same breath. So some of the changes that we've seen, guys, I think when you think about the first downs or even the replay assist, we are in a generation where technology is going through the roof. It was only a matter of time before the NFL started adopting all of this stuff that's going on call it the business world, right? With all of the AI movements and technology growth, like it's only a matter of time before that stuff taking effect in football.
Wasn't there a movie they put out called The Terminator? And there was it was a group called Skynet that started to take
Terminator
over,
35 years ago.
Took over, that was 35 years ago. Yeah. I mean, all of a sudden, what?
Yeah.
What, AI? Are you kidding me? Here we are, yeah. Watch out for the Terminator, by the way.
Last thing was they talked about concussions being down from last year, and obviously the kickoff being a big part of that, but also the helmets. A lot of people wore obviously the guardian caps, which were a big deal. They had 10 to 15 guys who actually wore them in games last year. They said they have built helmets that are better than the actual guardian caps, so guys don't have to actually wear the guardian caps in games. But guys have the option to do it if they want to. But the numbers say concussions are down tremendously, which is a great thing.
Now, if you wear the new helmet, the new one they've got out, did you ever see the movie Dark Helmet?
I don't know if I did see that one. Oh, boy.
That's how big the helmet is that they have now. It's like the giant.
Like we had the big old hats. They got the big helmets.
It's not like that.
You know, there's been so much talk about the new helmets, guys, and I've never had a chance to put one of the new ones on, but I can only imagine how much they have advanced since even when you and I were playing in the early to mid 2000s and back to when you were playing. I mean, it's probably a completely different world from safety, from weight, from comfort. I can only imagine. I haven't put one on in probably 20 years.
I mean, I look at the helmet that I had when I was here and with Georgia, I'm like, this looks ridiculous compared to, I look at the helmets the guys have now and the cushion and, just how it feels and looks. I'm like,
yeah, by the way, the movie was Spaceballs.
Oh,
the guy in Spaceballs was Dark Helmet. So if you don't want to know what the helmet looks like, go watch that movie. No, I'm just playing. It's not like that at all. It is not like that.
Art's just giving you all the old school classics to go take a look at.
Spaceballs.
All right, before we completely derail this thing into a generation that nobody understands, that's going to go ahead and wrap us up for today. We'll hopefully have a whole lot more content after we got a game under our belts for preseason action. Next week is the Falcons will be taking on the Detroit Lions Friday night, 7 p.m. here at home. And then they've got an inter-squad scrimmage this week and joint practices next week. So things start to heat up a little bit more in this preseason, this preparation, and it all is in getting them ready to be ready for the very first regular season.
And you won't see Kirk Cousins, won't see Michael Penix Jr. in this game.
You won't see D.J. Shockley.
You may see Dave Archer playing in this game, so make sure you're watching.
That would be, you would probably want to watch that.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. It's the Falcons Audible presented by AT&T. That's Shock. That's Arch. I'm Rack. We'll see you next time. Take care, y'all.